risks are relating to the requirement, the technology, the complexity, the quality. And the project management risks typically are estimating, planning, and communication. These are the major ones. You can subdivide them as well. The stages of risk management, typically 4 stages: risk identification, analysis of probability and consequences, risk mitigation, control, and documentation. If you look at it as a system, the risk management technique starts off as a system with the input, output, and the tools and techniques. As you can see, the inputs are typically the risk management plan, which you must have, activity cost estimates, activity duration estimates, the scope baseline stakeholder register, cost management plan, schedule management plan, quality management plan, enterprise environmental factors, and organizational process assets. Now all of that constitute the input. You use documentation reviews, information gathering techniques, checklist analysis, assumption analysis, diagramming technique, all of that to create what is called a risk register. So the risk register is the starting point of creating the documentation for risk management. There are multiple risk clusters that exist in any project: financial, technical, commercial, and execution. Common types are typically absenteeism, skills not being available, resignation, staff being pulled away, time overruns, and all of that. How do you identify? Typically 4 methods: the brainstorming method, expert opinion, past history, multiple team-based assessments. Generally, once you do this, you can start classifying them based on the probability of occurrence of the event and the consequence. Originally, when they started categorizing this, they started categorizing on a 3x3 matrix. That means, what is the probability of a particular event happening and what is the consequence of it. You can classify them and put them in these boxes depending on the consequence as well as probability. The one which has got the highest probability and the highest consequence is the one you would attack first in terms of how do I mitigate this particular risk. Now, generally, when this was designed, said that somewhere about up to 0.3 on a scale of 1 would be something like a low category, and between 0.3 and 0.7 would be a medium category situation. Anything above 0.7 would be a high category situation. Just to clarify, of course, the consequence also is converted into a 0 to 1 scale by defining the consequent values. That is, if you're going to lose $1 million, that is equal to 1, and if you're not going to lose anything, that is 0. So that kind of a scale that you can create. It was realized that that kind of a 3-point scale is not so good, it's too broad, so we wanted to redefine it. So generally nowadays people use a 5x5 matrix for classifying risks. I've just put together some probabilities and the consequence factors. That is just a definition. You can keep changing them depending on your organization and the values that you would want. As you can see, the probability scale is anything above 0.75 is called the most likely probability. Anything between 0.75 and up to 0.5 on the lower end is called likely, and 0.25 to 0.5 is occasional, 0.1 to 0.25 is unlikely, and the last one is less than 0.1 is, that is less than 10% chance is about remote. Similarly, on the consequence front on the right, as you can see here, insignificant, minor, significant, major, and catastrophic. So you are classifying the consequences as well. Naturally, the one which is most likely and catastrophic is the one which you would handle first. You could create a kind of a risk management profile for your organization by classifying them. I've just put together, just for your thought process, a template. Like a catastrophic event would be creating maybe perhaps more than 2% of the total project cost variance. You can also say if it is going to hit your schedule by X number of days or weeks, depending on the size of the project, that is catastrophic. Those definitions you define before you start off with the projects. The probability criteria I already explained. As you can see, so I have classified the consequence criteria up to an insignificant level. even up to number of days of delay and the percentage of total cost change. If you are in an industry where human beings are involved, accidents are common, then you can relate it to the loss caused by unsafe practices as well. So that will be the other parameter which will come. You can have templates like loss of human life plus property, accidents causing loss, minor incident, and all kind of things. So you have your definitions change. This is just for you to understand that overall risk factor scoring for a project is multiple parameters of the probability. From your risk breakdown structure, you have individual probabilities, a number of events are N, leading to consequences which are C. As you know, one probability can lead to more than one consequence. That's why M, it is not N again on the right hand side. So M is always more than N. One probability can lead to two consequences. So that's the overall risk factor calculation. For those of you who are familiar with set theory, you will know the minus sign comes because of the intersection of the two events which are happening in the environment. There are so many organizations which do not consider the negative factor. They just take the total probability as well as the consequences. That means the risk is amplified as a higher risk. So the project risk analysis and management typically assumes that the risk management